welcome to another episode. What are you reading? What are you writing? We're so glad that you're back. Or if this is your first time, welcome. I'm your host, Karen E. Osborne, author of Getting It Right, Tangled Lies, and Reckonings, all suspense novels, mystery. I have a wonderful, very eclectic guest today. Wait till you hear all the things that she does. So I want you to meet Jo Sand. Say hi to Jo.
Right.
So let me tell you a little bit about her. She is a poet, a novelist, an actor, a podcaster, a book narrator, a voice actor. And she also runs a business called JoJo Solutions. She volunteers for a not-for-profit focused on children and arts, and she oversees her son's pro basketball career. I mean, so we want to hear all about that. Jo, you are so accomplished. You've done, and you look like you're 22. So you've accomplished all of this in a very short period of time. But let's start with your acting career. Tell us a little bit about that.
So before I moved to Atlanta, I was living in Dallas, and my son had just gone overseas to play international basketball. And you know how you reach that moment in your life where you're like, you're empty nesting and you're rediscovering yourself, and you have to go back to and dig deep and say, what am I passionate about? What is it that I want to learn and really explore within myself? And so I started taking voice acting classes just to get the fundamentals to honor the craft. You never want to jump into anything. I've always been told that I have, a nice warm voice, but you can't just go out there thinking, oh, because I have a nice warm voice. You got to learn how to use it. And so started taking classes probably about 4 years ago. And a young lady by the name of Julie Shields she's fantastic. She's great with anime. She came by a workshop one day and she's asked, well, there was a workshop going on with long form narration. Never thought about it. The classes I was taking was more like commercials and learning scripts and things like that. Took a couple of workshops with CJ Crit and I fell in love with long form narration. She is an amazing storyteller. And I was like, wow, I want to be able to do that. And so the rest is history.
That is cool. Now, did you do stage acting before that or any kind of acting before that?
Not at all. And that's what was interesting, because the majority of the students there there were only a few of us that didn't come from any type of theatrical background. And so in the beginning, it was a little challenging learning mic placement, breathing techniques, enunciation, and but everyone was so helpful, and everybody is just there trying to learn and get more accomplished and honing their craft. And so it's just been an amazing journey.
That is so cool to hear. People have told me that I have a lovely voice, and they said that I should narrate my own books. And I said, no, there's so much more to narrating a book than having a nice voice. So I agree with you 100%. So tell us about how, first of all, you have to explain this title, Emotionally Constipated, this purging through poetry. Look at this beautiful cover.
Look at this cover. I'm telling you, I love it. Love it.
So tell us about it.
So, I'm a little, I consider myself to be a unicorn. And I really am. And I think sometimes we go through life and life things happen to us. And working in male dominated fields and industries, you kind of get numb to a lot of things. After we have certain life events, traumas, tragedies, we get a little more numb and number as time goes by. And I remember this guy had asked me about, he's like, well, Jo, are you dating? And would you consider going on a date? And I was like a deer caught in the headlights, like, excuse me? And then I was like, well, what's wrong with me? Like, why am I not even thinking about that? And after a while, I sat down and I was like, you know what? I appreciate the effort. I know it takes a lot to come and approach someone, but right now I'm just emotionally constipated. Like I can't give one shred of emotion to anybody but myself right now.
I'm all blocked up.
I'm all blocked up. I am all blocked up. I'm working on it. But I was at the time, yeah, I was all blocked up. And so what I did, I always carried notebooks and I have sticky notes everywhere. Like, you know, I am a true Mary Jane because I have sticky notes everywhere. And when different events would happen in my life, I would boom, there's some type of verse, some type of line, some type of prose that comes out, and I would jot it down. And so what I did, I said, well, you know what? Let me take a collection of these from different time periods in my life and just put it all in one book. And that's the sum total. You know, I mean, it's not the ending, but it's the beginning of knowing me on a different level and some of the things that I've encountered and gone through. And for me personally, being able to look back at those times, now I can look at some of the pieces and go, wow, you know what? I made it through that. When I was going through it, I couldn't see the other side of the rainbow, but look, I'm on the other side of I made it to the other side.
Wow. So
yeah.
what do you want your readers to take away from? Why should they read your poems?
I want my readers to be able to look at these pieces. Some they'll laugh, some they'll cry, some they'll crack up. They'll probably call their mama or they'll call their good girlfriend or probably look side eye at their husband like, see here, I'm not the only person feel this way. And just be able to, sometimes we can't always verbalize what we're going through in the moment. Some people chant, some people moan. I write. And so if it gives you an opportunity to have a dialogue, have a conversation, get some of that stuff out by writing it down, and then going back and just kind of, once the storm has passed, you're able to look at what you've written, what you've laid out there on paper. It's such an emotional release, you know, it's such an emotional and a reminder. It's a reminder that you can champion anything, you know, you can champion any situation, any hurdle life throws your way, you can champion that.
Yeah. So would you do us the honor of reading one of your poems?
I sure will. So I have this funny one. I think it's funny. It's called Counseling Session. And I'll tell you about it once I read it. Date nights. We do not date anymore. That ship sailed a long time ago and it's parked outside another woman's door. He thinks I don't know when he's on the late night creep. Unfortunately, he just can't stay out of other people's sheets. Excuse me, I'm not traditional. Excuse me, I am traditional, never boring. Besides, she can have him with all that obnoxious snoring. I did the best I could, worked, cooked, and cleaned. If that wasn't enough, then it's best we both leave. I came here so you could fix him. Thanks, but no thanks for your time. These sessions are on you, Doc. I'm not giving you a dime. So, you know, sometimes we feel like we can fix people and change people when we're in marriages and relationships. The way the book is kind of set up, it starts out with a piece called Teenage Love. And so, you know, when the butterflies are fluttering and you know, the sun is shining, the sky is blue, the grass is green, those feelings that you feel, you know, I have several selections of being in those moments. Some I actually pulled back from when I was 19. And a lot of, I feel like my adult journey started at age 19 because I got married at 19. And so there are 19 selections in this book. And so going from, you know, all the roses are green, red, and violets are blue, to now you're in a relationship with someone. And, you know, sometimes it's not always as great as we think it is. One of the selections is Life of an Ordinary Wife. I think that's the title of it. So, you pivoted from, everything you love about this person. Now you're leaving your stuff on the floor. I'm tired. You know what I mean? And then what happens when it ends? Relationships they go through stages.
Do.
And that stage, one of the pieces is entitled Rage. And it's that stagnant feeling when you have two people in a confined space and you can't communicate like you need to. And then after that, life happens. Even when you're going through an emotional crisis with someone that you care about, the world doesn't stop. The
No.
world goes on. We had a pandemic, you have family, we have world issues, we have all this stuff going on. So there are pieces in there about that. And then boom, here you go again. You try it again. But are you really ready for that next person? Have you really done everything that you needed to do in order to enter a healthy relationship? So there are a few pieces about that. And then, it ends with what that journey, where it landed me. It landed me at a place of healing myself and getting a lot of purging, just purging. And the purging came through poetry.
That's beautiful. That's a beautiful, beautiful journey. I certainly understand. I've been married to the same wonderful man for 53 years, but it's not been smooth, because life isn't smooth, and you do go through all kinds of things at different times in a relationship. So that sounds like a powerful book and a powerful journey. And I hope all of you will be interested in picking it up. So this is also a podcast about reading. It's about writing. But no, wait, you have a book in progress, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Tell us first about the work in progress.
Okay, so I put an excerpt in the poetry book here. It's entitled The Dirty Seeds. It's a romantic thriller. And so I'm super, super excited. It's developing all the characters. There are characters in there you would just love to hate them, and you hate that you love them, but they're there. And so between everything else, that will actually probably be finished in about a year because I wanted to take my time. I remember I did an interview with Bonet Bartran. She's a director, and she just wrote her first novel. It came out last year, Whispers. I actually keep that in my bathroom. She's phenomenal. But when I was talking to Bonet about writing and, I feel that the story it's developing on its own, taking a life of its own,
Yes.
and it has a time frame of its own. She commented that, having birthing, it's almost like giving birth. You're birthing a book organically and you can't rush it, and it has to come out in its own time. Otherwise you'll be rushed and you won't get that same essence on the page that you want the reader to absorb if you rush it. And so she was like, take your time, and
it does take time writing a book. And so few of us ever even finish books. You look at all the books that are in the bookstores and you think that everybody's written a book and finished a book, but actually there's so many people who just never get to the end. And I love your comment about it being organic. All of my characters talk to me in my head and they disagree with me sometimes. I say, we're going here, and they go, we're going over here, and you better keep
crazy. That is the most insane thing, because as you're writing, it's almost like your piece takes on a life of its own, and you're just the medium for the story to get it out. And I'm so looking forward to reading Reckonings. I am, like, I'm looking at your bookshelf and I'm like, oh my, I have got to get these. And
thank you.
Man, I just, once you're done, and then the editing process, I mean, even just for the poetry book, when you get get an editor, get your stuff perfect. I don't know how many camera views, get your stuff professionally edited. It is so important.
It's essential.
Yes, because when you sometimes we were writing so fast, and because we're trying to get the thoughts and ideas out. And as soon as you think you're done and you go back and read it, yeah, we're going to critique and find little things wrong. But sometimes, you'll be reading a passage and it may make sense to you, but it doesn't make sense to the reader. Especially as creatives, our minds are constantly sparking all over the place. I know mine is. And I'll have people, they'll tell me, Joe, I need you to slow down because we're right here on this 2-lane highway and you're like on the interstate, around the corner, across the bridge, through the tollway. What is it that you're talking about again? So I do. I have a bad habit of that. I have a bad habit. So
yeah, that's such good advice to those who are writers. A lot of our audience are writers, and that it's so important to get it professionally edited, but also beta readers.
Yes,
getting those beta readers who do
yes.
say, well, what? Wait a minute, Joe. Wait a minute,
Yes.
Karen. Get that kind of feedback is so helpful. So if our audience, oh no, now you have to recommend a book for us, something that we should read.
Well, okay, so I know she's going to kill me because I've had this book and I've been trying to finish it and I am just near the end because I've just been so busy. But Bonet Bartran's Whispers.
Oh, you mentioned that.
Yes, yes. Pick it up. It's her debut novel, and it's still going strong. It really is. It really is. And I personally, outside of that, I can't stop looking at your cover back there of Reckonings. I can't wait for that to come out.
Thank you.
Yes.
June 16th.
Yes.
June 16th.
I am so looking forward to that. Matter of fact, I think we'll go ahead and get all 3 of those because they look really good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a friend, I have a dear friend, a childhood friend. We've been friends since 12 years old. And she's been writing poetry for years. And I'm going to ask her to please watch this video because I think she would find you a kindred spirit, but you've done something that she's been afraid to do. So I'm going to make sure that she watches this video, and that because I think your conversation with me will encourage her. So I thank you. And that's one of the things we hope that the video podcast will do is not only get people to try new books, but also encourage those who need to heal, those who want to write, whatever the creative thing they want to do. So thank you. So where can we find you?
You can find me at josandsvoice.com. And on my new website, you'll be able to find the podcast. You'll be able to find books that I've narrated and any new works. Matter of fact, I have a new graphic artist that's updating my website so that any of the books that I've narrated for other authors, you'll be able to go and get those as well. And just kind of keep and look here, I have it.
You gotta, we can't see you. What? Oh, look at that emotional.
Look at that. Yes. So I have
that is funny.
Yes. So anyone who watches this podcast and orders the book, and I guess we're going to say Karen 2022 is the code. Karen E. Osborne 2022. I will send them an autographed copy.
Ooh.
And a t-shirt.
Wow, that sounds very cool. I hope you guys heard that. That sounds awesome. You'll get not only the book of poetry, but you will get a t-shirt. So that sounds pretty good. We thank you. We thank you, Joe, for being with us. And we thank all of you for watching. And we hope that you'll be with us next time. But what are you reading? What are you writing? Bye, everybody.